Talking sport and, well, so much sport over the weekend. John O'Donnell from Athletes in Action joins us. Jono, kia ora. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Andrew. Fun to be here.
Now, we'll get to some of what happened over the weekend in just a moment. Wanting to start off with Formula One. Now, honestly, I'm still getting my head around whether or not this is a sport or whether this is just a marketing opportunity for energy drinks, because there's been, a lot of people are saying shocking decisions from the Red Bull team with the dumping of young Kiwi guy Liam Lawson, that it was dramatically unfair and they should have given him more of a chance and all sorts of stuff. And, you know, I won't get into all of what's blowing up on social media at the moment, but how would you summarise the situation? I mean, if the kid's not winning races, surely it's time to replace him.
Yeah, it's certainly a fascinating story that's kind of at the front of everyone's minds. And I think for Kiwis, I don't know how long it's been since we've had a legitimate driver competing.
Yep.
I haven't been a huge Formula One fan my whole life, but certainly I've been tuning in to see the races and see what he could make of these opportunities that he's been given.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people were just kind of gutted, like, oh, he's there, and then how could you drop him after 2 races? And
Yep.
There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. And honestly, I mean, it's great that he had an opportunity because, I mean, he's been in the sort of the development squad for a while. He got to play in the major leagues for a couple of races. That doesn't seem to be much of an opportunity. But is this just the financial nature of it? Because let's face it, Red Bull don't make cars. They make energy drinks that rot your brain. So they need to make enough money and their cars need to do well so they get the publicity so they can sell their product and give a good return for their shareholders. This is sport, but it's also business, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see a little bit of it. I guess you could compare it a little bit to the America's Cup, where you had these, fashion brands or oil companies that were getting into sport. What place do they have in there? I'm not sure. And I think, you've got Liam, this exciting young driver, getting his opportunities, but so much of it seems to be out of his control.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the real challenges specifically for Liam has been that he's partnered with the reigning world champion, Max Verstappen, who's an incredible driver. And so Red Bull's looking to partner someone with him so they can achieve more than just winning the championship, but getting the constructors one as well.
Yep.
A super high pressure situation that he stepped into.
But you're standing next to the best person in the world with so much more experience than you. You're always going to come off looking second best, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And the sport seems to be a sport that there's a lot of factors that we're not aware of, whether that be, like you said, the making money or these massive companies that are behind it all. People in power pulling the strings. A real challenging situation for a young driver. I mean, he's only 22. You imagine the pressure that's on him.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's where my mind goes. I think about the athlete. Like, how's he doing?
Yeah.
What are the pressures he's facing?
Just before we get there, though, I want to ask a question because, I mean, you mentioned, yachting, and I'm not sure that's a sport either. But for Formula One, is it the driver or is it the car that's winning or losing races? It's like, is it the jockey or is it the horse? Is it this young guy that's not performing well, or are they just giving him a dud car to drive around in? And do you blame the driver or do you blame the car? What's your thoughts?
I mean, these drivers are absolute freaks. They are incredible. I don't even think the average person can fathom the skills that they have to be able to drive these cars.
Yeah.
But then, interesting, I was watching the first round and they're talking, the McLaren have the best cars, and then by round 4 or 5, the Ferraris should have caught up. So I don't know, there is also a real factor of the vehicles and how much money's been poured into them, who's got the best technology.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a playing field.
And to be fair, Red Bull don't make cars; they make energy drinks. Like I said, they're not. They've got somebody else that they subcontract to that makes the engines. It is complicated when it comes to a sport. But wanting to focus in on the pressure for a young guy in this space. And I think this is where a lot of the social media rage is coming from, because as Kiwis, a little bit of patriotism and a bit, how dare you, Red Bull, treating our boy like this? Because there must be so much pressure on this young guy to do well.
Yeah, I think you have mixed pressures. So as I think about Liam, like you said, there's a lot of outrage from Kiwis of like, oh, he should have gotten given more of a chance.
Yep.
But then also he's receiving a lot of, probably struggling with the shame of not performing. And I think he's gotten a lot of hate. Like a lot of people thought that Yuki Tsunoda should have taken the seat instead of him, and he shouldn't have been there in the first place. And he's only done a certain amount of. So there's, oh man, pressure from every angle. This last year, I've been working with a young motorsport athlete. And so for me, it's been a real cool opportunity to get into his world a little bit and try to understand and coach him through dealing with the pressure. And so just in prep last week, I actually just asked him like, hey, what are some of the pressures that, maybe you think that Liam would be facing or that you're feeling as you pursue a career in the sport? And he said, as a driver, you can feel really alone. And there's so much that's out of your hands.
Yep.
It's a different sport in that there's a lot of wealth that funds it. And so, man, there's a lot of people wanting to be, these top drivers and make it to the pinnacle. There's only so many seats, and there's all this political stuff and family stuff, and do you come from money, and how can you even get there in the first place? And this young guy's a Christian, and he actually just said, look, the costs are so high, and that can really challenge you on your belief. Yeah. Is God the provider? Because I'm looking and I'm trying to do this and trying to honor him, but man, it can be so hard to trust God to provide.
Wow.
So I think that was just an interesting perspective. Liam's not a Christian, and I'm not sure of where he's at on his spiritual journey, but what a challenging situation for him to be in. Yeah. And just pressure after pressure after pressure upon just this like 22-year-old guy. Yeah. So young.
And hey, maybe that should be the response of particularly the Christian community in New Zealand is, here's a young man under pressure. Let's pray for him. And what happens next in his career. A couple of other sports that I wanted to touch on in the rest of the time that we have available. Firstly, Super Rugby. And the game of the weekend has to be Moana Pacifica versus the Crusaders in Christchurch. What a game. Superb stuff from Moana Pacifica, and a convincing result too.
Yeah, unbelievable. I think, I could be wrong, but I read somewhere that 45 points at home is the most the Crusaders have ever conceded. Wow. So what a phenomenal result. And man, when Adi Savia puts the boots on, that team can do anything. Yeah. So I watched that game with bated breath. I sometimes like to cheer against the Crusaders, but Moana are just such a fun team to support, and they're exciting. And it was actually a bit of a close game. Like, it was a high scoreline in the end, but the Crusaders brought it back close. You're thinking, are they going to win this thing? That's what they always do, but Moana found another gear and kicked on to get the win.
Yeah, and to do that in, of course, home game for the Crusaders, and such experience and pedigree there. But Adi Savia, of course, making the difference. When he put the boots on, it's like the superpower of this new up-and-coming team. And it's, I know there'll be strong Crusader fans in the listening audience, but cheering the underdog in this instance, and a superb result. The other game I wanted to focus on is the Warriors. And honestly, do we dare to hope, Jono? Last three games... And what an exciting game against the West Tigers. That was a bit of a nail-biter, but go the Wars, they brought it home.
I think the Wars are back. Yeah. That's what I believe. I'm pretty quick to get on the wagon and support them. Last time we spoke was right on the back of they'd just been to Las Vegas, and they hadn't actually done very well. Yeah. And we're thinking, here comes a whole nother season. But 3 wins in a row since then. And last night, not as much, but they've been doing it in fairly convincing fashion. They did look like the better team last night. Yeah. The go forward, the big forwards getting the meters. But the Tigers, it was raining conditions, and they seemed to hang around, and that home field, home crowd advantage almost got them there. Yeah. But a bit of I think a rookie got an awesome try to finish it.
There's so much good stuff, and again, playing your opposition is playing in their home team advantage. That was exciting. But what has been the Warriors' traditional gameplay is to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, to be looking well all the way through the game and then just not have the fitness to finish well. This looks like a new, a stronger, more resilient Warriors team that we've seen perhaps in recent years.
I think so. I think having Fisher Harris join them, he's a rock. Come from Penrith, where they had championship after championship after championship, and so it seems like we've got a bit of depth. And like you said, last night's game, typically the Wars would have lost that, but they managed to grab those victories. And it's a long season, the NRL. I don't know if it's 26 games, but they play for a long time, and so you got to win those ones. Those are the ones that'll get you into the top 8 or even top 4.
Yeah, no, exciting stuff indeed. Thank you for the work you do. athletesinaction.org.nz for more information. Jono, always good to chat. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.